Hello guys, and welcome back to Research Reality and the premiere of a new video series, Revolution Review. I know, very creative title. So in these videos we will be moving along the wall, going album by album, analyzing the lyrics to see how they fit within the channel thesis. Embedded within our creative culture is an undercurrent of unified resistance. Now let me be clear and just say that this is not a review of the music itself, it's purely an examination of the lyrics, highlighting the political and social commentary, along with my own personal takes. And full disclosure, I did use Genius.com to ensure that I didn't miss anything that might be more subtle or anything that I just straight up don't know anything about. And with that out of the way, let's get started. So for the first Revolution review, we will be talking about Rage Against the Machine. I thought they were a fitting first choice because this wall is mostly comprised of two genres, heavy metal and hip-hop, and Rage is a nice blend of the two. You might have seen from our last couple of videos that we unveiled everybody that is on the wall, including a breakdown of the album artwork, and this takes us into our first song, Bombtrack.
Hey yo, it's just another bomb track.
So we're starting off strong here, talking about burning flags and some other stuff. Now it's worth mentioning that this channel does not condone violence, even though some of the subject matter that we cover is inherently violent. Just thought I would throw that out there. This song deals with the power dynamics between oppressor and the oppressed, talking about those in power, the suits, depicted as being landlords or power whores, who take turns exploiting those beneath them. There's a line about warming his hands with a burning flag. Now, I'm not super big on flag burning, but I do understand it to a large degree. There's nothing wrong with taking pride in your nation's accomplishments and the ideals that that flag represents, but not everybody shares that same view necessarily. People of different colors or ethnicities. You know, we just finished up a 20-year war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and while we did take out a lot of baddies and helped support the local population, we did still kill a lot of innocent civilians and committed a lot of war crimes. So yeah, some people might not have the most positive view of said flag, and that of course is just one example of many. So yeah, for me at least, it's less about hating your country and wanting to destroy it, and more about denouncing the atrocities and imperialism imposed in hopes of making the nation better. Doesn't mean you have to burn the flag, but you get what I'm saying. Going back to the lyrics, remembering the downfall and the businesses that burn it all. Seeing through the news and views that twist reality. Enough, I call your bluff, fuck Manifest Destiny. Talking about the corporate media, twisting views, and Manifest Destiny, which was the American expansion into the West, at the cost of those indigenous communities. But this line holds up well even in modern times. It could be the expansion of corporate greed, where we have these huge conglomerates that become oligopolies. It's hard to have competition when you buy out the competition and squander it. Looking at you, Meta. And lastly, the line, dispute the suits, I ignite and watch them burn. Again, talking about disputing those who hold power. And that's track 1. Track 2, which most of you probably know, Killing in the Name of. This one is pretty straightforward. Some of those who work forces are the same that burn crosses, meaning that some individuals in the police force are the same that share that same ideology as, say, the Ku Klux Klan, who would burn crosses in people's front yards. The title Killing in the Name of God, which, again, there's nothing wrong with being Christian or any other religion, but when it comes to historical extremism, there is a lot to criticize. Now you do what they told you, just being complacent. Dun-dun-dun. Now you do what they told you. And the chorus, those who died are justified for wearing the badge, they're the chosen whites. Basically saying that a white cop with a badge is justified in killing innocent minorities because they have the authority to do so. Again, not saying all cops are bad, I'm definitely not in the all cops are bastards camp, but there's still a lot of truth to that lyric even to this day. Mind you, this was written in '92. And the song ends with the grand finale that gets everybody jumping, repeating the line, fuck you you, I won't do what you tell me. Love that track. Track 3, Take the Power Back. The movement is in motion with massive militant poetry, kind of like what I got behind me. So the first verse talks about the indoctrination, what you learn about in school, the so-called facts. They want us to pledge allegiance and bow down to their God. Bro, so the Supreme Court just made the ruling about having the 10 Commandments in the classroom? That is wild. Lost your culture because they spun your mind and now ignorance has taken over. We need a movement with the quickness, you are a witness of change, and to counteract, we gotta take the power back. Yeah, this shit is dope. Anyways, the second and third verse deals more with the school curriculum, the structure of lies holding back minds with their one-sided story, exposing those who try to strangle the truth, otherwise the circle of hatred will continue. Very solid song. Track 4, Settle for Nothing. This tells the story of a guy who grew up fatherless and is now imprisoned, maybe even gang affiliated. Anger passed on through generations, and now you're caught between the culture and the system. And the song closes out by repeating the line, if we don't take action now, we will settle for nothing later. Nice. Track 5, A Bullet in Your Head, details the effects of propaganda. As the government centralizes power, the corporate media turns you to stone by mesmerizing you with TVs and cell phones. All the more relevant today, they don't need a pack of 9, they fire into prime time. Being absorbed by the media is like a mental prison. And the chorus, just victims of the in-house drive-by, they say jump, you say how high. Bow, bow, bow. Track 6, Know Your Enemy, featuring Maynard James Keenan. Got another bomb track for you. Before you take the power back, it helps if you know your enemy. There's a line, as we move into 92, Still in a Room Without a View, which was a novel about women and oppression, in case you didn't know. There's lots of talk about getting riled up, having no patience, being sick of complacence, because action must be taken. We don't need the key, we'll break in. Don't get any ideas now. In the outro, teachers are mentioned again, and there's a listing off of various things like compromise, conformity, assimilation, ignorance, hypocrisy, the elite, all of which are American dreams. Track 7, Wake Up, feeling the fury they had in '66, talking about the Black Panthers, yet we're still knee-deep in the system shit. Mentions J. Edgar Hoover, who, as the FBI director, he put a lot of resources into stifling and thwarting a lot of these movements that later lost momentum because the leader was taken out. The two examples in this song being Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. They went after King when he spoke out on Vietnam. He gave the power to the have-nots, and then came a shot. George Carlin had a good bit on this, where throughout history there were high-profile individuals who advocated for human rights, peace on earth, genuine human decency. They always ended up getting assassinated. Hey guys, how about we start living in peace? Bang! He does it way better. Track 8. Fistful of Steel. This one deals with the dangers of remaining silent, which leads to complacence, so you have to amplify your voice. Even though the radio is filling the air with noises, it's still silent because it's not saying anything of substance. To be silent is to be complacent, and to be complacent is to not question anything. And the line is repeated, a question can be a powerful thing. Township Rebellion. Track 9. More talk about not being complacent, fighting for your freedoms like your life depends on it. This is a stick-up, and we're robbing the system to get our freedoms back through a township rebellion. And of course there's the chorus, why stand on a silent platform? Fight the war, fuck the norm. And the final track, Freedom. Admittedly, I don't have a very good read on this one, though I do love the imagery right at the beginning, talking about a bottle of ink, paintings of rebellion, drawn up by the thoughts, I think. It's pretty cool. It goes on to say that we're set up like a deck of cards. They're sending us to early graves for all the diamonds. They'll use a pair of clubs to beat the spades, like a club. Basically saying that the rich exploit the poor because they are more or less disposable. It gives an example of losing 3 people, and then before you know it, it turns to 3 million, again as an example. They also mention the environment and the distractions on the billboard, where the billboard is kind of taunting you. Come and play, forget about the movement. And the song also repeats the line, anger is a gift. And that concludes the review of the first album for Rage Against the Machine. It's very telling that this album is over 20 years old and yet it's still just as relevant today. On many fronts, really. We covered a lot of content, there were a lot of points to be made, but I hope you enjoyed the rundown. If you did, there's a like button down below, and if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button for future content. There's also a number of videos already on the channel that you might enjoy. And that wraps it up. Thank you again, guys, for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.